ever have one of those mornings where you wake up and think, wait a minute, how did I get here? You've done everything right, followed the plan, built a life, and yet somehow it feels like you're not quite in it anymore. Like you're watching yourself move through your days instead of living them. You're busy, maybe more than ever, but something feels off, not broken, just quietly out of sync. Let me ask you something. When's the last time you truly felt present in your own life? Not just involved, but alive in it. Take a moment. Let the question sink in. Close your eyes if you want. No rush. Because sometimes all it takes is one honest question to open a door that's been closed for years. If that rings true, you're not alone. It happens to so many of us somewhere between 40 and 60. It's not always dramatic. It's not always a breakdown. But it's often a moment or a season where you start to question the way things have been. You look at your work, your relationships, your health, even your own reflection, and realize something needs to shift. And that realization can feel unsettling, like you're standing at a crossroads without a map. Some people call that a midlife crisis, but I don't think it's a crisis at all. I think it's a wake-up call, a quiet invitation to pause, reevaluate, and ask yourself, what do I actually want the second half of my life to feel like? Because here's the thing, midlife isn't the beginning of the end. It's the beginning of something else, something wiser, something truer, something that's more about alignment than achievement. But to step into that space, we need to first recognize the signs that we've been living a little off track. Not because we failed, but because we've grown. And growth always demands adjustment. So today, let's talk about what to do when that wake-up call comes. Not with panic, not with a drastic reinvention, but with calm, clear, grounded steps that help you return to yourself and move forward in a way that actually fits who you are now. Let's start with something simple, but surprisingly powerful. Listening to your own exhaustion, and I don't mean the kind that sleep fixes, I mean the deeper kind, the kind that doesn't go away after a good night's rest. Maybe you felt it, the bone-deep fatigue that comes not from doing too much, but from doing things that no longer align with you. Saying yes when you mean no. Showing up for roles you didn't choose or no longer enjoy. Carrying the weight of expectations you never paused to question. This kind of exhaustion is your body's way of telling you the truth, that something has to give, that you've been overriding your own signals for too long. And midlife gives you the perfect chance to start listening again, to get honest about what drains you and what restores you. That might mean fewer obligations, even if they look good on paper. It might mean letting go of roles that no longer feel meaningful. It might even mean disappointing a few people, so you can stop disappointing yourself. This isn't selfish, it's essential, because you can't fully show up for anything or anyone when you're constantly running on empty. And here's something else worth noticing. That little voice that says, "Is this all there is?" Not in a dramatic, everything is terrible way. More like a gentle curiosity, a longing, a whisper that wonders if there's more to explore, more to create, more to become. That voice is easy to ignore. You've got routines, responsibilities, people who rely on you, and maybe you tell yourself it's too late to start something new, or that you should just be grateful for what you have. But that voice isn't ungrateful, it's alive. It's the part of you that remembers who you were before the roles and the titles and the shoulds. The part of you that still wants to grow, learn, risk, even fail, just to feel something real again. Listening to that voice doesn't mean you throw everything away and move to a cabin in the woods. It might mean something smaller, something slower, like taking a class, starting a journal, having a conversation you've been putting off, saying yes to something that scares you just a little, in a good way. Because midlife doesn't require a full-blown reinvention. What it asks for is intention, a willingness to be more awake in your own life, to stop living on autopilot and start living on purpose. That purpose doesn't have to be grand. It doesn't have to impress anyone. It just has to be real. And sometimes reconnecting with that sense of purpose starts with one question. What am I tolerating? Not what's wrong with your life, but what's just Meh. What are the things, people, habits, conversations, or roles that drain you a little every time, but you've convinced yourself they're just part of being an adult? We're taught to endure, to push through, to keep things running. And yes, that resilience is part of what got you here. But endurance isn't the same as alignment. And alignment doesn't mean everything has to be perfect. It means things make sense again, to you. It means saying no to what no longer fits. It means creating space for what might. It means trusting that it's okay to outgrow things, and even people. Midlife asks you to stop living for the story that made sense 20 years ago and start living the one that makes sense now. Not because you're broken, but because you're evolving. Let's pause here. Sometimes real change doesn't begin with action, but with recognition, with the quiet decision to honor what's shifted in you. Not because the old story was wrong, but because it's time for a new one to begin. So where do we begin? When we're ready to live a life that actually fits. We begin by noticing. Noticing the quiet signals of disconnection, the subtle shifts that tell you something inside you is asking for more. Maybe it's that strange silence when you finish a task that used to energize you, or the way your body stiffens before certain conversations. Maybe it's the Sunday night dread that keeps creeping in, even though nothing is technically wrong. These aren't loud alarms, they're whispers. But if you learn to listen, they'll tell you where the tension lives, and tension always points to truth. Here's one place it often shows up, in how we spend our time. Take a look at your calendar, your to-do list, the things you've said yes to lately. How many of those things feel like they actually matter to you? And how many feel like they belong to someone else's version of your life? Because when your days are filled with tasks, obligations, or people that no longer feel aligned, you start to lose your sense of direction, even your sense of self. That doesn't mean you need to quit your job or abandon your responsibilities. It means you get to ask, where in my life have I been on autopilot? And what would happen if I turned the wheel again? One of the most powerful things you can do in midlife is to begin living with more intention, even in the smallest moments, like how you start your mornings, or how you speak to yourself when you make a mistake, or how you show up when your teenager challenges you. Again, these tiny daily choices, they shape who you become. Midlife isn't a blank slate. It's a well-worn page, full of your stories, your wisdom, your scars. But that doesn't mean the ink has dried. You can still write new chapters. You can still change your tone. You can still rewrite the rules that no longer serve you. And speaking of rules, let's talk about one that needs to go. The idea that you have to be everything for everyone. You've probably carried that weight for years. The partner, the parent, the professional, the friend, the glue that holds it all together. But here's the truth. You were never meant to carry all of it alone. And the version of you that thrives in midlife isn't the one who keeps juggling until she drops. It's the one who knows when to put something down. When you allow yourself to step back, to rest, to reflect, to say no, you give others permission to grow too. You're not abandoning them. You're showing them what healthy self-respect looks like, and you're reminding yourself that your needs matter too. So if you've been living like your own well-being is optional, this is your sign to make it essential again. You don't have to fix everything today. You don't have to know exactly what comes next, but you do need to listen, to trust that the unease you feel isn't a sign that you're failing, but a signal that you're ready for something deeper. Midlife can feel uncertain, but it's also a powerful season of possibility. You're not stuck in the middle. You're standing at the edge of something meaningful. And the question isn't what now, it's what matters. You already know more than you think. You've lived, you've loved, you've tried and failed and tried again. That wisdom isn't behind you, it's inside you. And the life that fits who you are now, it begins when you stop trying to go back and start building forward. And here's one more quiet truth that's worth remembering. You don't have to do this alone. Midlife can feel isolating at times, not because you're physically alone, but because you think you're the only one feeling this way. You scroll past highlight reels, you keep up appearances, you carry your responsibilities like armor. But behind all of that, so many people are carrying the same quiet questions you are. The longing for more meaning, the fatigue of roles that no longer fit, the uncertainty about what comes next. And here's the beautiful part. The moment you speak that truth, even just to yourself, you break the illusion of isolation, because naming something gives it shape. And when something has shape, you can finally work with it. Not push it away, not cover it up, but meet it with curiosity, with gentleness, with strength. This is where growth lives, not in the performance of having it all figured out, but in the quiet courage to say, I want more clarity, I want more energy, I want more peace. And yes, even I want to feel like myself again. So here's the invitation. Start small, start where you are. Start with one thing that feels just a little more aligned than yesterday. Maybe it's the decision to wake up 10 minutes earlier to sit in silence. Maybe it's the walk you've been putting off, the boundary you know you need to set, the book you've been meaning to read, or the story you're finally ready to rewrite. You don't need to fix your whole life overnight. You just need to remember that you're allowed to grow. And that growth is not selfish. It's sacred. And remember that question from the beginning? When's the last time you truly felt present in your own life? Let's bring it back. Not with pressure, but with possibility. Because presence doesn't arrive all at once. It builds with every honest moment, every intentional choice, every step that says, I'm still here and I'm still becoming. Midlife isn't a crisis. It's your moment to pause, to listen, to realign, to live, not just function. So take that breath, take that step, and keep walking your way back to yourself. You're not behind. You're right on time. If this resonated with you, I'd love to hear your story in the comments. You're not alone in this. Far from it. And the more we talk about these things, the more visible we all become. If this video helped you in any way, go ahead and tap that like button. It helps others find it too. And if you want more practical, reflective content like this, consider subscribing to the channel. We're building something here. Space for calm, clarity, and growth in midlife. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.